Hey guys, welcome back for another video. Today should be another cool upgrade for the living room home theater. I am going another step up in transducers, hopefully at least. I have yet to experience these in anyone else's setup, so it's kind of a leap of faith, especially with the price point. You're pretty much talking $1,000 a seat, not including amplification. If you go with these are the Crowson, and they're not transducers, they're actuators. I'll talk about that difference in a minute. But we should have two sets of two actuators in here, along with some isolation feet that I probably won't need, but we'll have to measure and check. Get a nice brochure here. Now, the one bigger drawback than even the cost of entry here is availability. As of the time of this video, you know, we're still in the middle of COVID and supply is pretty much non-existent for a whole lot of things in the world, including these guys. You will not find them in stock on the website. They've been out for months. Here's what you do if you need to buy these or a lot of other things that are dealer only. You know, it's not about what you know, it's about who you know. Send them an email, give them a call. Say, hey, I would like to immediately purchase such and such. I know you'll have them in stock, but please put me at the top of your list as soon as you know you have some availability. That's what I did, and I don't know, it was a month or two later, he emailed me and said, hey, I got a shipment coming in, touch and base, do you still want to buy them? I said, sold. They never even hit the website. So here we go. These are quite heavy, first off. All right, so what is the difference between actuators and transducers? Well, let me grab a prop here and I'll show you. So if you hear groaning hippo noises, that's the two mini wiener dogs having a wrestling match back there. Okay, so we got a can of soda here. I think everybody can understand what this is. When it's full, it's got some mass, it's got some heaviness to it, and it's solid. Well, we'll call this a piston, all right? This is a blown up version of what's inside almost all the transducers on the market. The Dayton Audios, the Aura Bass Shakers, the Earthquake, the Buttkickers, almost all of which I've had in here and used and experimented with, lots of different models, lots of different seats. Those are transducers, okay? What they have is a metal slug, steel slug. It's surrounded by two electromagnets. Pretty much it's a big, heavy speaker cone at that point without the cone. So when signal goes to those electromagnets, it's floating, the piston is floating in between them, and it moves it back and forth like a shake weight in reverse. I'm not doing that for the video, right? So this huge mass of steel is moving back and forth, and it shakes things. Bass shaker, get it? That's okay. So whatever you then bolt that whole assembly down to gets that motion. Obviously, to get a real big effect, you need a big, heavy piston. You need mass, or you need lots of little ones. I went the lots of little ones route because then I could fit them up inside the seat. If you've got a really big, like a full-size Buttkicker or a full-size Earthquake, you can't mount that inside your seat. You have to either mount it to a platform that you bolted the seat to, or they've got like these little diving board attachments, and you mount it to that, and it kind of makes a kind of effect. Not as effective as mounting direct. There's lots of different ways you can do it, but that's how they all work. It's just a moving slug of steel. Actuators do away with all of that. They move the entire seat, or they move the entire platform. And I mean move it. I don't mean vibrate it. They move it. Oh my God, these things are like lead weights. Like, I was not expecting them to be this heavy. So in here, we've got little platforms. You can see how small they are. Think of them as like postage scales or food scales. You know, you put something on it, it squishes, it compresses, and it gives you a reading. In reverse, you're applying voltage to this, and it moves the platform. It moves whatever you put it on. Each one of these has a rating of 250 pounds of pressure per pad. So it's up to you to decide what you're installing it on, how many you're going to need. And then they also give you these pretty much sorbethane isolation feet for the other corners. Now ideally, like me, you're gonna have 2 per seat. So this will cover 1 seat, 2 actuators, front corners or rear corners. Shouldn't make that big of a difference. And then these somewhere in the other corners. You may need more of these depending on what you're putting it on. These can go on anything. They can go on single theater seats like I have. They can go on a love seat, on a couch, a sectional, or like I said, a whole platform. And there's tons of different ways to do the actual install. But this is it. It's just a flat plate with a hell of a strong electromagnet inside. So when you apply your electricity to it from your amplifier, just like it's a subwoofer, instead of trying to move a speaker cone-like apparatus, it just moves the apparatus. That's it. So this whole thing moves up and down, and whatever you put on it, like yourself, you move. Simple as that. It is the cleanest type of transducer or actuator out there because there are no resonant frequencies. When you have a transducer, there's going to be a part in the motion at certain frequencies where it responds a lot better than others. Not so with this. If you're sending a 1 hertz signal, it's the same response as if you're sending a 50 hertz signal. All the way through it, it's a linear response. So you shouldn't have any spots in that sound or that motion that are heavier than others. And you can sometimes have that with regular transducers. Even though you can EQ it out or try to, there's just no need with this. It just works perfectly out of the box. So we've got 2 sets of these. You are probably like me. If you're watching this, you're into home theater, maybe you're wanting one, maybe you have one. You probably have multiple seats, but you might be the only one that actually gives a crap about everything you've built. That's certainly the case here. I've got 5 seats, and 99% of the time, I'm the only one watching anything. And even when I'm not, nobody really gives a crap about all this stuff I've built, except me. And that's fine, because I'm doing all this for my hobby, for my pleasure. So I'm definitely gonna double up and put 2 of these on my center seat. What I'll probably do is take the other 2 and split them and do 1 per seat on the 2 just out from the center. So, you know, it'll spread it out, make it cool for whoever's in those. But the center seat, that's definitely gonna get the best of everything. So here's what I'm working with. And like I said, my center seat, that is the prime seat. I'll be working from the center out. Definitely doing 2 in that. And I'll try 1 just to see how the effect is. If it's not enough, I'll just do 2, just like I have the Buttkickers here for the wife and I. And if it's enough, we'll do 1 and we'll have 3 seats covered. The cool thing is, because these are Tuscany Valencia seats, there are metal brackets, 2 in between each seat that link them all together. And even though I only have the Buttkickers installed right now, I've got 2 each in these 2 seats, these 4 seats all get the effect because it transfers very nicely. I get a tiny bit here, but that's 2 away from the seat that has the closest transducers. So that's really cool. Now, because these are raising the seats, what I've done is I've decoupled the front connectors. That way the seat can actually pivot. The front can come up. I'm going to install them first here on the front. I'll experiment with front or rear over in on the end here because I got plenty of clearance. Now, Crowson says there isn't a difference between mounting to the front or the back. Of course, that's going to depend on your seat. You can see that because this comes so much forward when it reclines, it puts your center of gravity right in the middle of the seat. Probably a little bit forward, especially if my feet hang off to about here. And one thing I'm looking to improve over the Buttkickers, and there's nothing wrong with the Buttkickers, but my last seats work better with the Buttkickers just because of the way the frame was designed, and I got more effect into the armrests in my hands. When I would watch Mad Max Fury Road, for example, on the old seats, my fingers, after that extended chase scene, about a half an hour in, my fingers were tingling like I was holding a power tool too long. It's that exact effect. But so much of it is lost because these sides here aren't really attached to the center, and I've got everything mounted rigidly to the metal centers. I get a lot of effect in my butt, nice effect in my back, not so much in my legs or hands. So what I'm hoping is by mounting to the front here and allowing the whole seat to come up from the front and kind of pivot on the back, because my center of gravity is going to be pretty much over it, especially my hands and feet, I'm hoping to get some of that back. What the rest feels like, I don't know. We'll have to see. But by all reports, everyone loves the Crowsons better than transducers, so we'll see. But I got a lot of clearance here, pillows here so the puppies don't get back there, so I can easily get to the back. I really, really hope that the front is good enough. I mean, I'll do it if I have to, but I really don't want to have to disassemble everything because you got to start from this end and work that way to get to the backs. Not a huge deal. It'll definitely take me another day or so, but upside, I could then take out the Buttkickers and sell them. I'm not planning on doing anything with them if I can make the front work. But that's the plan at least. So what I'm gonna do, Alexa, turn on the seats, is, I'll show you here under this one.
Did you mean seats?
Yes. Okay, so throwing a little light on there for you. I already have the 1-inch isolation feet on all of these seats, even though all of them don't have Buttkickers. I've got isolation feet on all of them, front and back, 8 per seat. And I measured beforehand. I won't know until I slide it under here in a second, but it should exactly fit the Crowson. So I should be able to just tip this up, plop it right on top of the Crowsons under the front frame, and be done. I don't have to add any more isolation feet or use the ones in there. These are the Buttkicker brands that I have installed. I've showed those in previous videos. So it doesn't really matter what brand you go with. The important thing is the height. Now, if you're just doing one Crowson, you definitely want to use their isolation foot in the opposite corner. So if you got a single seat and you're doing a single Crowson, for example, you put the Crowson under one corner, put an isolation foot under the back, and you can buy an extra one to cover the other 4. If you got a different configuration, like some frames, if you buy a roll like this, the center supports are the main frames, so you can put Crowsons underneath the armrests. In these cases here, the main frames are under the seats, and these armrests are just kind of bolted on. They're almost free-floating. They're not bearing the weight of the entire seat assembly, so you don't put anything under the armrests. You put everything under the seats. Totally depends on your seats, though, exactly what configuration you're going to go with. But the good thing is, install, no matter what, is really simple because you're just putting stuff on top of them. You're not having to drill and make custom brackets or anything like that. So let me tell you a little bit about what I'm hoping to get out of this. Now, I've gone through, like I said, a bunch of the lower end stuff, and I've been very happy with the Buttkicker Mini LFEs in here, 2 in each seat. Great performance. When dialed in, it can be absolutely seamless to the subwoofers, meaning you don't know there's something in the seat. You can't tell if it's just a really big sub shaking the room or not. And that is due to using a mini DSP to dial in the delay. And again, this is going to depend on the amp you're using, if you're using wireless or not, the particular device, to dial in the exact perfect delay. I find kick drums to be very easy to do so. But once you do, they just disappear, and you literally can't tell where one picks up and the other leaves off. So that's all good. But, and this is something I noticed when I went from my last pair of subs, the SVS SB16s, over to these PSA 3612s, they just have so much more oomph and pressure in the room. They're not only shaking everything on their own, I mean, not to the level of transducers, don't get me wrong. No transducers are there to replace subwoofers. They can't do that. The transducers or the actuators, they're not making any noise. They're just a physical movement and vibration. But these subs, compared to the SVS, are so much more tactile on their own that I'm noticing the Buttkickers are almost mismatched. Before, they were more than enough. Like, I had them turned down a little bit to dial them in absolutely perfectly. And now, I need more to make them as seamless as running these at full tilt. I need more out of what I'm getting. So that's one thing. I need more of the good stuff I had there. The Buttkickers, I was getting really strong performance down into the upper single digits. These are supposed to go down to 1, but because I'm running the new JBL processor and I'm running Dirac on it, it actually kills bass support under 10. So I'm not going to get any single digit performance, but I want an improvement everywhere else, right? Got my wires prepped. I'm going to be wiring them the same way I've got the 4 Buttkickers in series parallel. The difference being these will show a single 8 ohm load to the amp, whereas the Buttkickers were showing a 4 ohm load. I'm still going to be right at the upper limit of their power capability. So that's perfect working with my Behringer NX3000 amp back there in bridged mode. So I'm all good there. Just have to make some new wires. I'm not gonna do anything with the butt kickers, so I'll just leave those leads behind. But here's what I'm gonna try first. Like I said, center seat, definitely the most important. I've got them underneath the frame. And just to the sides, you can see the isolation feet. Those are the butt kickers. And I did verify they're the same height. Now in the seats next to it, I'm gonna put one, because like I said, not really important seats. And you can see the butt kicker compared to the Crowson isolation feet. They are the exact same height. Now remember, mine are modified because I've got, it's a combination stack of isolation feet from the butt kicker and the stock ones that came on the Tuscany seats to raise it up. But it just happened to be the same height. And we should be good to go. So now I just have to slide that other one in that seat and wire them up. And then I'll test rear as well. Oh, I'm happy. Okay. So I'll give you the gist of it real quick. Testing front versus back, not a big difference. Now, again, this is going to depend on your seats, but in these Tuscany Valencias, it really centers you pretty well as far as your mass between the front and rear frames. Overall experience, very similar, but in the front, I am getting more tactile through the hands resting on the armrests. You know, it's just closer to the actuators. So I'm definitely keeping them in the front. I didn't have to change any of my settings. The latency is all coming from the wireless kit. They are significantly more sensitive than the butt kickers. Even at 8 ohms and the butt kickers being 4, now I know it's not like speakers, you can't directly compare, but at the same amp setting, they were a little more intense. The really cool thing is though, whereas I was running to the limit on the butt kickers, any more gain on the amp, and they would bottom out. They'd get that clang noise. The piston inside would actually contact the top and bottom of the housing itself. These can't do that. They don't have a housing. I can turn the amp all the way up, max it out. I haven't boosted any of the signal. The sub signal is -10 in the processor, and it's at 0 in the mini DSP. I'm not giving any boost anywhere digitally. And these things soak every watt of it up. So much so, a great demo scene. I've been running through all my test scenes and, you know, just stuff I'm super familiar with. Fury, the Tiger tank battle scene. A couple things really stood out that are just day and night different from anything else I've tried. One, the intensity at that level. The scene where the Tiger finally starts up and then starts moving and you get the track noises and it starts crunching through the ground. It was so intense. I had my head back on the headrest. My vision was blurred from the vibration just when those tracks started moving. Really intense. And that's through all this padding. I'm still not getting quite as much through this padding at some frequencies. The extreme lows and the extreme highs, and I'm crossed over at about 30 hertz. They transmit just fine. It seems like somewhere around 20, you know, it's just getting soaked up to your head, but it's hitting everywhere else. And in the front, unlike the butt kickers, which are mounted in the back, haven't taken them out yet, it gets your legs. So it not only gets your back and your butt, but all the way through your thighs and all the way down the footrests on the seats. And of course, if you got your arms on the armrests, the hands as well. So just a really great overall experience. The difference in feeling, you know what? It's not day and night. It's not like a, wow, I could never recommend butt kickers again. It's different. Both of them are really cool. I almost kind of want to buy another amp, not that they're in stock anywhere, and run both at the same time. I think that would kind of muddy things up, because one of the things I'm noticing is it's even more seamless. Now, I had the timing of the butt kickers dialed in, so they were seamless as far as when the sound from the subs would hit and the sensation would hit from the butt kickers. That's all still there. But, and this is kind of what I was talking about, where the response of these is linear. There's no peaks, there's no dips. Every frequency hits the exact same intensity as another. Again, in the Fury scene, when they're just coming up on the Tiger and they're backing up and they're getting ready to charge, right? the tanks kind of go through their startup sequence. That vibration came completely through the seat like I was sitting in the freaking tank. And the resonance at every frequency was different in different parts of my body. And it was completely even. Whereas the Buttkickers, they definitely had their peaky points. And in scenes like that, it wasn't seamless. I mean, you would get the sensation that something's happening, obviously, but not like this. This was very immersive. So overall, very happy with it. Is it worth the price? I mean, it's basically double anything else out there like the Earthquake or the Buttkickers. It's hard to say. This is definitely an incremental upgrade. You know, when I went receivers, I went from the Yamaha 2085 to the JBL processor. That was a big jump, not in price, but in performance. And I expected that to be an incremental, and that turned out to be a huge, like, day and night upgrade. This I'm going to call incremental. So it's definitely diminishing returns, but yes, it is definitely, without a doubt, the best transducer experience that I've ever experienced. Definitely better than any of the other off-the-shelf transducers out there. There's no comparison. I haven't tried the subwoofer platform and the inner tubes and that kind of thing. No interest in doing that in this room at all. So I have no idea what that's going to feel like. But as far as bolting something out of your seats or putting your seats on something, get yourself some Crowsons if you just want to be done and have the best and have no doubt about it. But I can definitely recommend the Buttkicker install that I did in the past, because that is just awesome too. But it is not on this level. It cannot keep up with these big subs. If you've got moderate subs, you're going to be fine. But once you start upgrading one thing, you're going to find deficiencies in another. And that's exactly what I did. So I'm very happy I did this. Now everything is matched again. And you know what? The install was really simple. I have to hand it to him. That's it. Any questions, let me know. I'll try to answer them. But thanks for sticking around. We'll see you next time.